Solving the unsolvable. Metro Police have announced multiple major breakthroughs over the past few weeks in cases that had long ago gone cold.
But that cold case justice comes with a price tag. Well, recently that tab, though, has been picked up by a donor. And 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears now examines why police need private money to do the public's work.
Solving a murder can be like assembling a jigsaw.
It's always the smallest piece that puts the puzzle together.
And the longer it takes, the harder it gets. Funding the work is often a puzzle too.
So right now, as an agency, we only have so much money to work with.
The sexual assaults and murders of 14-year-old Stephanie Isaacson, 16-year-old Kim Bryant, and 22-year-old Diana Hansen were all recently solved thanks to donor dollars, a private citizen giving money to Metro, a public agency, to pay for highly specialized DNA testing in cold cases.
The families have gone for 40 years wondering who killed their loved one.
Police discovered Kim Bryant and Diana Hansen had been killed by the same man, Johnny Blake Peterson, who died in 1993.
Certainly when you're going forth with the work, you don't know how it's going to pan out. This suspect may not be deceased, he may be living right next to you. So it's always worthy of a department's greatest effort in my opinion. And that bottom shelf that often gets put on, that's not where it belongs.
Lieutenant Sean Comiskey retired last year from Metro's cold case sex assault unit. He says a tough reality hides behind the recent successful solves. Units are understaffed.
For years, we've been working homicide cold cases with a team of 5 part-time investigators.
And underfunded.
And our focus right now is reducing violent crime. And we spend a significant amount of money on our current homicide investigations. So with that being said, we still have set aside our own dollars where we investigate our cold cases. The fact that we've had generous donations come in has allowed us to have money that we otherwise would not have.
Homicide Lieutenant Ray Spencer.
Very, very hopeful that we're going to be able to solve a lot more cases because of that additional funding.
New DNA tests in old cases take a back seat to ongoing investigations, and the lengthy turnaround time makes the cases even colder.
With the generous donations that we have received recently, we've been able to outsource cases that we otherwise would have done in-house.
The cases were outsourced to Othram Laboratory in Houston, Texas. Othram uses a method called parallel sequencing, specializing in trace amounts of degraded DNA that can be aligned to a specific family line.
Our average cost for a case is about $5,000.
Kristen Middleman is Othram's Chief Business Development Officer.
And I think that the technology is pennies to the dollar of what it costs.
But it's money our law enforcement sources say is not likely to get into Metro's budget.
This is really an issue that exists all across the country. It's not unique to Las Vegas.
A National Institute of Justice report published this past July found every law enforcement department throughout the country has unsolved cases that could be solved through recent advancements in DNA technology, but that more resources are needed to use the technology quickly and effectively. NIJ found just 1 in 5 agencies surveyed funds cold case work out of its regular budget. And as cold case DNA work has become a U.S. Department of Justice priority, NIJ says federal funding is essential.
There's only so much federal funding that will assist us. And, when you look at the availability of grants, that's something that we would like to increase as far as a revenue stream to assist us and just give us another avenue where we can even solve more cold case homicides.
A recent cold case solve in Henderson did not rely on private donor money. Earlier this month, Henderson police and FBI funds paid for investigative genetic genealogy that allowed police to positively identify Tammy Corinne Terrell, murdered in 1980 when she was just 17 years old.
I would say the victims are owed these new investigations.
Law enforcement sources say victims are also owed more cooperation from big corporations that run for-profit DNA databases. We're told the ones Metro currently uses, like Family Tree DNA and GED Match, are small compared to Ancestry.com, the world's largest genealogy database. One source told 13 Investigates Ancestry's database would conceivably enable police to solve 80% of their cold cases. But as Ancestry makes clear on its website, the company does not voluntarily cooperate with law enforcement. Ancestry says the two most recent law enforcement requests for information from its DNA database came in the latter half of 2020, and Ancestry says it challenged both requests, which were subsequently withdrawn. As for the future mysteries advanced DNA analysis will solve,
I think that as this becomes public information, public knowledge, people will start demanding this type of technology and this type of testing in their investigations. And I think that the government will eventually help with that initiative.
Lieutenant Spencer says wherever the help comes from and however it's paid for, the goal remains the same.
We want to give closure to the families. So, if money comes in from grants, if money comes in from private benefactors, however that comes in and it helps us create that great success, we're open to those.
Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.